In March, I remember them saying, just 2 weeks, fellas, just 2 weeks. It'll all be over.
Oh, have you seen that new film Max Sargent posted? It came out this year called Songbirds. It's an apocalyptic film about coronavirus. And at the start of the film, it's like after 200 weeks in to the coronavirus. Yeah, and they're shooting people on the street, like, and people's like, I've been tested, I haven't got it, and the soldiers laying off, like, it's just the pure apocalyptic, like how you would imagine a pandemic to be.
Yeah.
What it is,
Yeah. But, well, there's that World Bank article, or not article, it's a document that got declassified, unclassified, and it said that it's going till I think it was like November 2025.
I've seen that. That's what they say in a few films as well, predictive programming. Like the in They Live, when you see their council, their Congress of alien beings, they say that their rollout and it finishes in 2025, like. But yeah, I say that's the longevity of what they had for 2 world wars, around 4 to 5 years. American Civil War, not sure, or 4 years. This is about the time scale for full reset. It's 4 years. People, can you imagine what the world would be like after all of this?
Yeah, I couldn't have imagined the world to be like this.
1 year, I know.
I was beside myself yesterday. I don't get out much anymore. But when I do, it's just like it's already like the apocalypse. There's nobody out there,
It's
and
like
and I saw there's these medallions they put into the concrete around the school. Medallions, and they have 6 feet, and it's like this. It's like an upside down cross.
Wow.
And it have people spaced, but it's not. Like it annoyed me enough that every business puts up these like sheets of paper, crappy photocopy type sheets of paper up, taped with Scotch tape up on their glass doors of their business saying, don't come in unless you have the mask and 6 feet under and all this shit, And I'm thinking, what possesses a business owner to do that?
Yeah.
It's so beyond my capability of understanding. As a business owner myself, I don't have a brick and mortar store, but if I did, I would not.
Yeah, but what's threatening you with 25 years in jail if somebody in your employment infects a load of people? Because that's what they're threatening with these big businesses. That's why a lot of them won't take the chance, especially the pubs. But people have been kicking off here. Liverpool erupted last night. None of it's in the news, but I've been watching it. Feeds on Instagram and stuff. A big protest in London last night. Tens of thousands. Nothing on the news. Mm-hmm. Anyone who cranked up a live feed on YouTube was instantly, not blocked. The channel's gone, disappeared. Happened to someone I know last night, just for feeding about this. The police blocked off every street, right, and were funneling these tens of thousands of people through the centre of London, which is already a trap, okay? And then they just had these coppers just running out like snatch squads, grabbing people out of the crowd randomly, kidnapping them, and then dragging them off into the side street and then disappearing, literally snatch squads. It's all on film. I watched it live last night on Instagram. My skin was crawling. I'm telling you.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Doing the same thing in Melbourne, like they're doing thing. Well, the cops all stand there, and they have like a shield, like 4 or 5 will stand across like that, and a couple will run through the middle, grab someone, drag them back past, and these cops like join back into the wall, and the person disappears into the crowd of cops.
Worst thing about it, it's the city of London as well. This isn't England. This isn't Britain. This is the city of London, its own state, with its own police force and its own laws. So, they can call the shots. They can grab people into Westminster. It's just really spooky. And the way they trap them as well. some people walk straight into it. I'm like screaming, you're walking into a trap. You're walking into the centre of a pentagram, for fuck's sake. That's where Trafalgar Square comes to. Look at it on the map. It's just the dead centre of one. You know, it's just, wow. But,
yeah. You know. Years ago, I was in Paris, and I was walking down the Champs-Élysées, and I saw a really interesting building off to the side that I wanted to check out. So I went off this side street, and this is before I woke up to anything. You know, this is like 5-6 years ago. And I checked out this building, and everyone's on the Champs-Élysées. It was like Christmas time, you know. And I'm checking out the architecture of this building, just marveling at it. Things going through my mind that I didn't know until now, you know, that I'm making sense with you guys and everything, and it's fun. And but at that time, I was just, you know, trying to wrap my head around what I'm seeing. And so then I thought, well, I'm going to go back, get on the main boulevard. I went down this alley. I'm telling you, it was dead. This alley was dead. No lights on or anything. I got almost a creepy feeling of how dead this alley was. And I was going along, and I realized after I walked through, behind me, somebody came and they blocked off the alley with a barrier. And so I'm headed back to the Champs-Élysées. And it was bizarre, guys. People started pouring out of these empty, dark buildings around me. Now, I say people because they came out. They all had signs. They were professional protesters, right?
Yeah.
And they showed up, and they just went all around me. I think it had something to do with Brexit or something with the EU. I wish I could remember what made up stupid thing it was about, but they just went around me, and I was like one of them. And I'm telling you, camera crews, boom, 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 everything showed up so fast in seconds, like 20-30 seconds. All of a sudden I went from being down a dark, empty, quiet alley to this big protest that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
And I blended in, which is kind of interesting in itself. But then there were police cameras and everything, and they marched for a little bit, and then they went to this other barrier where it's blocked off from the public. And then I got through that barrier from out of the protest a little bit with a little bit of trepidation, because there was a line of police that just showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Outside the stage set, isn't it?
Yeah, and I exited stage left or whatever, and I got back on the Champs-Élysées, and I only went 20-30 feet, and the people walking up and down the Champs-Élysées looking at purses and jackets, and they're unaware of what's going on down this alley. And it was something really incredible. It was like, you know, these people were not regular people at all. No, the behavior was not normal. The way they were so quiet, and then they just came out. What in the hell were they doing? When I started down that alley.
So many of them. You see the same with these nurses and other of these events that I've been watching. I think they're so soulless. So many of them. Where do they get them from?
I don't know. Because people, there would be an excited energy right before this, but it was dead quiet. I swear.
But look at Nice as well. How many were in on that event? You know, look at them people acting and laughing. You know, it's supposed to be a van running you all over, a lorry. You remember on Nice seafront? That guy who's supposed to ram them all with a lorry. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't know. I switched it all off. I get a negative energy from it, and I just, you know, I had to separate myself from even, you know.
It's not something you should give your energy to. Think about to work it out and analyze, but not go down that rabbit hole. You know, just cut it off, recognize it, and then on to the next caper. Because anything with bad energy attached is not a good thing to think about anyway. So I try to avoid maximum. Yeah.
Well, I get a good energy from you guys. How you doing? Despite it all.
It's like you said, it's all actors. I mean, they cloned Dolly the sheep, in the it was the 80s, wasn't it? The late 80s. I mean, we don't know what they got down
84. There. Yeah, something like
84
that.
was it? Yeah. So they could have been growing bodies and just worked out how to animate them. They could just be bodies with microchips in the brain or something. I mean, because it's all a show, right? So you're like, the best way to persuade people is with other people, right? It's the whole sort of, the Joneses, keep up with the Joneses and be part of the group thing. So if you release enough, NPCs out there and they're all saying, oh yeah, this is the truth, well, maybe the actual humans might start siding with them if they're, look like the majority. Just out there to help the news. Who knows? Because there's some weird stuff going, like New Zealand just voted back in the same leader, the one she went to the UN and breastfed her baby and she was all supposed to be awesome. And 6 weeks ago, she announced that they were having COVID camps. And basically, if you didn't comply with their rules, you'd stay there indefinitely. Came out, it was all over the news, and they just voted her back in.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. You were breaking up a little bit, but I think I caught it. I forgot her name, but I had a video on her. I think it got removed, but a smile on her face. She said, and we will detain you indefinitely or something like that. It was really outrageous, non-human.
Yeah. And she was doing it with this really sort of, this really, happy sort of smile. And And at the end, it's like, we'll detain you indefinitely and until you comply.
Oh my gosh. How can people not see that?
Back in. So
it's a number. It's just random. This PCR test, it's unrelated to illness. There's no illness.
There's nothing going on.
The irony is I have not seen people any healthier than now in my whole life.
Same. Sky is beautiful. No chemtrails. Blue, really blue. And clean. And nature is responding in kind. Nature has been beautiful this year. Mm-hmm. So I would agree. Yeah. Less cars on the road.
To the hospital today and not that many people, a lot of staff, but it's almost like, because that option's been taken away, all these hypochondriacs and stuff can't go to the hospital now, so they're just not going.
Hospital wings closed, just closing down hospitals. There's empty, out of business, losing money.
Yeah, I know two stories of one is a nurse. She was totally aware of it because she saw it happen. She got laid off. She lost her, I don't know if it's her retirement, like her pension. Something happened with it because the economy tanking, but also the lack of work. And she was about vested, but they did this massive layoff thing. And so she went from caring for patients, but it was so dead, she just takes calls all day as a nurse. And all she gets is anxiety and suicide calls all day. Like the mental health is mental health is horrible. I mentioned something in one of my podcast videos and somebody replied and said they know more people personally who have committed suicide than have had a cold or a flu this year. 5 people committed suicide that they personally know. And I don't know anybody who committed suicide, but I do know somebody who, I don't know them personally, but I know somebody who does work with somebody who was in an old folks home who had renal failure from, I think, diabetes. But when she went to the hospital for renal failure, which that's serious and you probably aren't going to make it, right? They put her in the quarantine ward at the last, and then she died of COVID. Oh, well, she was weakened from the renal failure.
They do it with everything. Yeah, I know. The pneumonia, exactly the same as the renal failure. The thing people die of is now attached to COVID because they may have tested of COVID.
I asked somebody who's 85 and sharp as a tack, do you know in your whole entire life, do you know of anybody who ever died of the flu? Nope. Not one.
Purges your body, feel fantastic.
People just get the flu.
Huh?
Yeah, it's just a spring clean. That's all it is. It's just getting all the crap out of your body. That's all the flu is.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's not a virus. It's not deadly. It's a natural process.
Yeah.
Purges your body of all them toxins, man, as well.
And it is seasonal, and it's like a bathtub curve, you know, if you go year by year by year. And I looked at that, and I was marveling at it because I thought to myself, you know, anybody who, because I did some medical research for a while, and whenever I talk to somebody on the street about this thing, I use that credential because I am actually a medical researcher still, and I can tell you that the statistics bear it out that you have less than 0.1% of cases in the bottom of the off season of the flu than you do at the peak. I mean, it's a marked difference, and it's so statistically sound for so many years since they've taken data that there would be no possible way that the number of cases would be rising, much less steady, but rising, you know, throughout the summer. I remember on July 4th, I said, this is never going to go away. It's hot out. People are wearing these dirty rags on their face, and they're saying cases are going up, and people are buying it. It's just, I just throw my hands up. Like, these are not thinking sentient beings. They're not sentient beings around me that buy this, you know?
No. How can it be a pandemic if we don't all know lots of people that are dead? Like that's the definition pretty much. Like, there's people everywhere dying, but no one knows it, you know. The odd person will know someone who's died who was in the 80s, you know, maybe someone who got better again. And
it's so genius in a way that they have everybody locked up and looking at their screens, and then they are like, that's the reality because they aren't going out. But it's like, even just think in your own mind, just think for a second about what about the fact that you don't see people being hauled off your street like the Monty Python, bring out your dead, bring out your dead. I would need to see that before I agreed with any of the measures they're taking, you know?
Same. I might take some of their measures if I'd seen them being dragged out daily, bring out your dead, en masse, and a proper pandemic. But I'm not really with pathogens. I think there's something else going on. I think there's nothing going on. It's an ordinary year, just less happening, because it kept everyone in. The reason they're keeping everyone indoors has to be for another reason. They want everyone inside their houses. Not in, you know, they want people together. They get them all in a stadium, but all sporting events gone. All movies, everything just gone. Theatre gone. Forever, seemingly. Live concerts gone. What? Hang on. So what is really going on? Because that's zip to do with any place. Just why is everyone just denying the immune system or the defense system like it's not a thing all of a sudden? Where's everyone's education? Everyone's got to forget what they've learned before and move ahead with the new thing. Is it?
That's weird, isn't it? It's like, you know, I said it's like they're all NPCs. These aren't thinkable. You know, all I can think of is, you know, they lock people inside, and what it does is it shrinks down their perspective of the world to their TV screen, and then all they get is what programmed at them, basically. And that, like, you know, is a lot of people. But still, at some point, you know, if you can feed yourself, at some point you've got to ask yourself, what the hell's going on here? Like, you know, no matter how stupid you are, really.
But most people will just go with it, cowardly. You know, they're not very brave and finding. You know, my neighbour I've hardly anyone to speak to around here. They're all like the same mindset, the television. And she just blurted a load of stuff off what she just watched on YouTube, a load of fear at me. And I'm like, lady, it's the television. Do you think that's a reality? Oh, well, we know the BBC are a bunch of weirdos, but, you know, it's the telly. Like Nixon said, if it's not on the telly, they just ain't going to believe it. And that's it. They just won't question it. Maybe they're doing something, flashy thing with the telly, because we don't watch it.
Yeah, maybe, subliminal messages or something. I mean, there's got something going on, because is it just conditioning that they just can't get out of this mindset that the box is the truth?
It's spookier than that. You know, British people were crazy. They were up in arms about anything. Should have seen miners' strike suddenly. You know, they'd have massive protests about, well, anything, any stupid shit they would have a protest about. Suddenly everything's quiet, kept quiet. Everyone's petrified of the invisible. No, there's something deeper going on. There's some deeper magic afoot, because dark times. You know, if I was to hazard a guess, all of the signs are looking like it's the end times scenario, isn't it? He's even fit with biblical prophecy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It is remarkable that one of the things I read in Revelation was that there's, I think it was Revelation, might have been Isaiah, but about end times, there's no wine poured. Now, what would that mean? Well, that means to me, in church, you have the bread and the wine. And I'm telling you guys, they don't pour wine at church anymore. Like, they'll still do the bread thing, but the common cup, that would carry, quote, the virus. The more I look into it, this stuff it goes back, this event right now goes back more than hundreds of years, I think. Many centuries.
The question is this the actual end times, or is this been designed to make us think it's the end times when it's something else? Like, as in, does Armageddon and all that already happened?
Yeah, possibly. But I think what's happened is I think we've messed it up. I don't think that anything like this has ever happened, any reset. What's happened with the truthers? You know, I think we've discovered more than any secret fraternity at this stage. So we've like blown it wide open. They had to, you know, end the game, end the stage show. There's this scampering, the Queen's abdicating Buckingham Palace on sale. It doesn't take a genius to work out the elites are growing. Even assault. Yeah, exactly. Don't take a genius to work that out. So what is coming? Instinctively, I got my stomach in knots. You know, everyone's apprehensive. But the only thing I can, you know, the only message I can say is just relax and wait. Relax and wait. There's something else bigger afoot spiritually, I think.
Yeah, I agree. At this point, there's nothing we can do physically, like at least for the next month or so. We've just sort of got to wait and just put good intention, really. Because all these elites, like I said, the Queen and that, they seem to have gone. You know, there was an interview with Charles on the telly a month ago or so, and it wasn't Charles, it was Prince Charles, it was some other guy, you know, and, you know, there's photos of this stuff everywhere. Ouchie, you know, his ears keep changing. Is that another reason about the masks? Because have you noticed that the politicians wear really big masks? Like literally, you can't see their face. Big masks. And actually, how's this? Just the day before the election, a Kamala Harris lookalike turned up to the polling booths, like with pretend Secret Service, turned up in a stretch limo and like started taking photos with people, pretended to be Kamala Harris. And because the mask was so big, everyone was believing, and then someone pointed her out and said, "You're not Kamala Harris," and they just went, just made this hasty exit. But, you know, is that part of the cover-up? You know, the cover-up, right? So that all these people have taken off and they've just left these NPCs that aren't quite perfect, so they just cover half the face and everyone believes it's them. Is that, you know, who knows?
Brilliant point, I think, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, you'd think that some of these politicians just show act stress. Like, you've got a big smiley face Trump constantly, you know, his big orange smiley face, like he hasn't got a care in the world. It's not, I just don't think it's him. You know, they tell you how many doubles any of these world leaders have. You know, Churchill had half a dozen. Somebody, you know, there's Rommel had them, Hitler had them, Stalin had them, Saddam Hussein had them. There's a film about his double, the Devil's Double. So, you know, they have doubles. But then they had Prince Harry and his girlfriend go into like posh do's in England wearing these masks, and people couldn't tell them apart. Really, really spooky. Until they sort of turned their face and you could see the side of their eyes, you wouldn't know. You would not know. Looking straight on, they were amazing. So I think they do it. I think they can do it. Seems to be all about the mask.
And this is the thing, if you get it in public and you've got a crowd and you've got that energy going and someone says, "There's Prince Harry," and it kind of, you know, looks 80, 90% like Prince Harry, everyone's just going to believe it's Prince Harry. You know, people aren't going to stop and go, "Hang on, let's check out those eyes. You know, people just go, oh my god, oh, and see stars in their eyes.
Yeah, I noticed that they're afraid of people who have this critical thinking, this additional sight. They cower and they flee in person, and that makes me think that we have a personal power or energy or something that counteracts, whether it's just the knowledge, being able to expose them, just naturally, but maybe there's something beyond the natural or beyond our understanding that works within, especially within 6 feet of us. I don't know what it would be, but they certainly keep their distance, don't they? I mean, that's one of the prime things that they do.
Yeah, definitely. But they seem to hang around each other, don't they? And they just, it's weird, isn't it? It's like you sort of walk into this computer game or something, and they're all like part of it, and you're kind of you're the player, and exactly. So they definitely see me coming.
NCPs. I didn't like the NCP idea originally years ago because I thought it might desensitize people. I thought if it ever comes to a time in the future like Armageddon or anything, then people will think less about killing them because they would be like NCP sheeple, so it wouldn't matter so much. So I always thought that was a big danger, to get that into the psyche. But I see aspects of it, but they, have they souls? Are they human beings? I don't think I got the right to tell, or even judge, or even, at this stage, give a fuck. All I can say is we are different. We're light beings. We're bringing a message of truth to people. It's a really important God-given job. So I think, if you think about it, what we do is for them. Isn't it? Really, for the people. Even though they're like that, we would love nothing more than them all to be happy, free, and awake. So that's what we do. So even though they're NCPs, empty souls, we give everything to try and help them. Because they know not what they do.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you said that, is this Armageddon, and are they collecting souls? Have we got these NPCs, and that's why they don't come near us, because they know that we can't be turned or whatever, and they're just spending their time on the people they think they can turn before whatever, the clock runs out. They're out there harvesting souls, see people who know what's going on, and they're like, oh, waste of time, let's just go on, go and get what we can.
That's all I can say. In the lockdown is a lot of people are having some violent psychic attacks right now. The spiritual attacks are coming in stronger, and I feel at this time, this is like when, this judgment of good and bad, or whatever it is, these forces, is where you've got to get aligned, because people are getting spiritual attacks. They're keeping everyone away from everyone else, no electromagnetic connections. Totally, I don't think people out there have ever felt so alone, and they created that, guys. But they want everyone online, for some reason. So it carries on, but separately. Something bigger afoot, guys. I just know it in my heart. It is.
Yeah, no, there's definitely more attacks, but yeah, I've felt more protected, if anything, as it, kind of as soon as this almost started, I was just like, well, as we all know, we sort of like, here we go, this is crap. But I've just always felt like nothing can't touch me. I just haven't been worried, haven't been scared.
I tend to mentally kick myself in, mentally torture myself throughout this. I don't let any of it affect me because I've never been, one to care right the way through my whole of my life. They've been trying to break me since day one. Like you said, some people are pervious. I'm like Cool Hand Luke on acid. They cannot do it. So, but I just kick myself in about all of it. I could do bad, I could do, and all sorts of scenarios. But I try to keep away from the doubt. I keep, from the goal and the prize ahead. But yeah, it's really tricky. It's really tricky when they keep you in. I like to be out, living my life. Meeting people.
Did any of you guys, when you were young and growing up, did any of you guys get the feeling that you were here for something?
I was told.
Kind of battle or something?
I was told. I'm sure. I was only a kid, and I was in a seaside resort on holiday, and I got told by something else that I was here for a purpose. Sat on stairs on my own, feeling really sad and watching the sea. And I just had it right through me that I was here for a purpose. And I was only about 7, 8, something like that. But yeah, I definitely think that.
And how do we all end up talking to each other now when this is going on? Isn't it bizarre? Like one in Australia, one in the US, and one in Wales. This is, I don't know. I've always felt there's something, and I always thought it was going to be like a war. I thought, and I'm like, I don't like war. I'm not going to join up in an army. And it seems to end up being a meme war, but it's a different kind of war, that's for sure. But it's a battle. There's a battle going on, and most people don't realise it.
A way out is what's needed. A way out of this, because I don't know if anyone but us is going to save us. I think we save us in this. I really, really do. But that's all I do. I think, of a way out, plan a way out for everyone. This, because they're not going away, and now they got hold of our throats. Like Big Brother, stamping on the face of humanity forever, which is what they're doing. And if people don't feel it, and it's not going to go away unless it's almost as if that they want us to rebel and fight back. They can't gaslight us and push us anymore. To what breaking points? Wait till the food starts going short. The dark nights in the winter. Let's see how people respond then. Yeah, it could be a trap. It's very tricky place, this, isn't it? Full of deceit and trickery. So and they're really good at it. So trying to work it out though.
Yeah, I think that's it though. That's the scam, isn't it? It's just them trying to get us to believe their narrative. That's the scam. And as soon as we fall into it, we're not living our own lives. We're not thinking for ourselves, and we're living whatever they want. If you're in the jungle for the last 8 months without a telly, would you be worried about the beer virus? You wouldn't even know it existed.
I don't know. I think they're even out there doing it, aren't they? I've seen some things. Do you remember all of this going down with the Ebola thing in West Africa? And they were dragging people away in ambulances, and they were saying, "No, it's not real. It's not real." You remember that? I covered it when it was about 5 years ago. Test.